Yeah.
All right, folks. Our next guest is at-large counselor-elect.
At-large counselor, yes. Yeah, exactly.
Tony
Elect.
Gross. Come on in, Tony. All right, so Heather, you have to. Tony's had a recent a medical procedure.
Oh, yes, I have to move.
So you're gonna move over to the couch. We're gonna get Tony comfortable
Sorry
here.
about that, Tony. I was so interested in talking to you, I forgot my role here. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
That was the issue.
yeah.
And you just walked out of the hospital, Tony? Like on your way here?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that.
So Heather, can we move the microphone over here for Tony?
Oh, yes, exactly.
Beautiful.
It's funny that you should mention that because I did attend a Waterways Board meeting one night right after I had been released from the hospital on knee replacement that day, and attended a Waterways Board meeting that night because there was an issue that some of the members felt I needed to be there for.
Yeah.
Wow,
So they brought me in.
dedication.
Yeah, well, I won't say how attentive I was, but
Yeah, right.
Well, so you are the at-large counselor-elect, and we're going to put that aside for a little bit and talk about your role on the Waterways Board and the Gloucester Harbor Plan Committee. So tell us, regarding that Harbor Plan Committee, why do we need one?
it's kind of interesting because I think we just had one in 2014.
Right.
I think because a lot of the previous plans never answered the questions. And that's one of the things I've been pushing forward on this plan is we need to have a baseline on what, let's talk about not all the big grand things about biotech and, all these things that could come here. Let's talk about what we have here and how can we re-strengthen that to what our needs are today. And we really do need a baseline of, look at today's fleet that we have, groundfish and lobsters and the shellfish, everything that we have, and what resources do we need to maintain on the harbor to facilitate that industry, and with a little bit of growth. So we've never had that question answered. On
Wow, that's amazing.
What is the baseline that we really need, and then it's also then what is the pathway to get there. We need to bring some. Now, Corey, I didn't know you're from the producers family.
Yeah, exactly. Cuckoo Brothers.
Yes. Yeah. I used to sell at Sonny's next door.
Oh, no kidding.
And bought fuel.
Yeah. So that's my grandfather Joe, my uncles Charlie and Red Top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Knew them well.
You have a new name.
Yeah. That's an old name
That's
for
an old
me.
name, okay.
Yeah. No. That. Yes. The youth. Yes. The days of then when things were going well around here.
So, Tony, let me just ask you, what is the size of the fleet, and how many fish processors do we have in the city, too? So just sort of give us a gauge of what
I can't answer really the size of the fleet because
No
I
one
don't
can
have
answer that
I
quite,
don't have
yeah.
that number.
Yeah.
It's much less than it was before. We don't have that many big boats anymore. But what do we have? We have Intershell, we have Conley's, Wright's next door, those two, and Ocean Crest.
Yep.
And who else am I missing for the
Well,
fresh?
is Martelaros, do we consider
They're
that?
lobster.
Okay, so that's
They're lobster.
all right. Neptune's Harvest, are they considered a
They're
processor?
Ocean Crest.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
They're Ocean Crest. I'm trying to think of what other we have here anymore.
Atlantic is.
They're like Gorton's, right? It's all
Right.
trucked in. Gorton's even in the heyday. Gorton's got all their fish from freighters. I mean, you remember the freighters even stacked up in the harbor.
Yeah.
They were mostly bringing fish here. There was a lot of fruit, different things also came and went out through here, but a lot of it was fish for O'Donnell Hewson, over Americold. I forget what was the seafood.
Yeah, and here at Good Harbor Filet and
Good Harbor
those
Filet,
days,
yeah.
So you talked a lot on your campaign trail about affordable dockage, and that was a really critical
That's
part.
extremely critical.
So tell us about that.
There's no way that a working boat can compete with today's recreational boat berthing prices. They're insane. And they're insane because there's, and each place that ties up the recreation has a long wait list. So we need to make sure that we have dockage. Dockage used to be free. You tied up for free where you took out your fish. Or the state fish pier, the railways, both railways had places to tie up, and if you did all your work there, it was a nominal rent. So you need to have, that's critical.
So there's nothing designated for commercial fishing? No.
The harbor is.
Yeah, but so they have to pay to tie up?
Most everybody pays, but it's not an exorbitant. It's nothing like,
Okay.
$18 a foot or,
Yeah.
it's.
So you're trying to preserve that to make
Yes.
sure that we don't bring in all
Yes,
these
it's,
records?
$200-300 a month, $400, depending on the size
Yeah.
of the boat. So it's affordable.
Okay.
And that really is, if we lose that, we're done.
And is there a question of us losing that?
Only if you don't maintain enough waterfront dockage for them. That's, if they get squeezed so much. Now, in the old days, everybody tied up, you must remember, they would tie it up, everybody would be stacked up outside each other. Since that's gone away and it's a whole lot less convenient, people don't particularly like that, but it would be a good problem to have that again. But I think that's, as we look at changes, Municipal Harbor Plan, last time they took a chunk out of the DPA, which I think was not a bad idea for that chunk to be moved out. It was an awful lot of residential property. And so we need to make sure we don't lose any more of that. That's why I think we need to have the baseline of what do we need, dockage. And then how do we go to, go to New Bedford, go to Portland, to processes that are up there and say, look, we have an opportunity here. How can the city give, some incentive to bring some, to have people come back and rebuild our infrastructure? GMGI is a great, jewel on our harbor, but let's get real. How many working class jobs are there?
Right.
They're just,
right.
you got the janitor and, a couple other people, but there just really isn't that type of blue collar work that we really need for our citizens here to be able to afford to live here.
So who is on the committee, and do you feel as if there's any sort of tension in trying to achieve what you're describing right now in preserving working class jobs?
No, I don't know. There's no tension about that.
Oh, that's great.
People are, echo my same sentiment. And do you want me to list who's on the committee or not?
Not really.
It's a good cross section
yeah,
of people.
yeah.
I think it's a really good group.
Oh, that's
Really
really
good group who we're going to hold the consultants' feet to the fire.
And the consultants were the same consultants that did it in 2014?
A lot of them are the same. It's a
Yeah.
new name and it's a different consortium of consultants, but the core group is a lot of the same people. So,
Okay.
so they should know what we're looking at. I mean, there's different people now on the city side in place, so in community development and the planning board still has the same people. Community development, who's in charge of most of this, that's got different personnel. So I think we may move in another direction.
So, Tony, is it sort of a deep belief of the committee that blue-collar jobs can return here or can blossom here on the waterfront?
We want to know.
Is it possible?
Yes, that's the question that needs to be answered. Let's stop talking about all these wish list things. Let's talk about what's here now and what do we need. The guys that are working now they're doing well. The return of the haddock has been very favorable for the ground fishermen. So people are doing well. The lobster industry is doing very well. So there is room to take a look at what do we need and how do we not have all this fish that's being landed in Gloucester be shipped out.
So I'm kind of fascinated by this whole plan, as you can tell. And I have learned a little bit about Chapter 91, which seems to be what the plan is based on. And I think people might want to know about that.
They're a little different. Chapter 91 is the state licensing for any fill tide land or on water. So it's fill tide land. So if you bought a piece of property that has fill on it, then the upland part is also Chapter 91.
But it's a very old statute, right?
It's a very old statute.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
some of it goes
17th
back-
century?
Some of it goes back to colonial times, yes.
Yeah,
It's the fishing and fouling, it's the keeping of the coastline for the public.
Right, to
And
make sure there's access for fishermen and
Exactly.
hunters and things
Yeah,
like that. Right,
Exactly.
yeah.
And so, but the DPA they're two separate
Designated
issues.
port area? is what-
Yes,
okay.
yeah, they're two separate issues. The designated port area is, that's reserving things for marine industrial or marine-related industries only can be there. And that's what Gloucester's trying to figure out. They're trying to pigeonhole some things in, the biotech. They're saying, well, I just don't want to see people coming here who can say, yes, we're looking at the water, but really what they want is the glass-fronted office that's looking out the harbor when really they could be up at Blackburn or, you know, Utah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
So that's what we need to be careful of and make sure that we don't follow those dreams and go down a rabbit hole where Gloucester gets, you know, where we just don't preserve what we need to. I'm not saying that we need to preserve everything. I'm saying we need to find out what do we need to preserve. That's the big question.
So I think there's already been a meeting with public input, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, it was the day I had my surgery.
Right, exactly.
So
But
I did watch I did watch it and read all the comments.
okay. And what were the comments like? I didn't see the comments.
They were pretty much what you would expect. You know, a lot of the same players who were suggesting, you know, we got to go with the biotech, we got to go with this, we got to think out of the box, which is a saying that makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Because it mainly means you don't know what.
Agree. Yeah.
You don't have anything to say here. So it was what you would expect. I mean, I didn't go. I should have looked at all that stuff before I came, but I can't.
No.
It was
that's,
nothing.
I didn't look at it either.
Nothing
so.
memorable.
Yeah. So what's the timeline for the plan? That's where I'm going.
I think it has a couple more years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a long range plan.
Yeah. Great. Well,
Well, we're approaching inauguration day, Tony.
We are.
Yeah.
And I'll be off of the sticks by then.
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. So, well, other than being off the sticks, what are you looking most forward to as you begin to serve the city in another capacity?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. You know, on the school committee, it's totally different. This is completely different, and I have to give up my water. Although hopefully the new president will make me the liaison to the Waterways Board because we've made a lot of progress in that direction under my direction. But just looking at a whole different role here because it's it's the legislative piece. It's about the workings of how you govern, not how you administer, but how you govern. So it'll be different, and it's a check and balance. You know, it's different. You can be a little bit more assertive in that role. On the school committee, you were really, it was more of a familial thing. You kind of.
you weren't bumping elbows.
You weren't
really
bumping elbows, and you were also a Papa Bear.
Yeah. Right. That's interesting.
Here you don't have that.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice. I always said that I had more power as a PTO president than I did as a school committee member. It'll be,
Oh, interesting. That's
because-
probably true.
Yeah, because you could speak your mind without, repercussions. So
Yeah.
I'm
Well, we
looking
look forward
forward to it.
and we look forward to working with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For in the years ahead,
Yeah.
especially, and you're always welcome to come back on Cape and say we
Great.
appreciate you spending some time with
thank
us.
you.
I'm glad you're on the men, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so
happy
much for making
holidays
it
too.
here.
All right, you too.
Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.